There is something most people over 60 have never been told clearly. And once you understand it, it changes the way you look at something as simple as drinking water. Because we've all been told the same thing for years. Drink more water, stay hydrated, it supports your body, improves circulation, and helps everything function better. And in general, that advice is correct. But what almost no one explains is that after a certain age, your body does not respond to water in exactly the same way it once did. Not because something is wrong, but because your system changes, subtly, gradually, but meaningfully. And those changes affect how fluids move through your body, how your blood flows, and how effectively your system uses what you give it. This is why so many people feel confused. They do everything right. They drink water throughout the day. They stay consistent, and yet they still experience symptoms that don't seem to match that effort. Cold hands, heavy legs, occasional dizziness. Brain fog that comes and goes without a clear reason. Fatigue that doesn't fully improve, even with rest. And when they ask about it, they're often told the same thing: drink more water. But what if the issue is not the amount? What if the issue is how your body is responding to it? That's what we're going to explore today. Not to replace what you already know, but to build on it. Because once you understand how your body actually responds, small adjustments can make a noticeable difference. There is something most people over 60 have never been told clearly, and once you understand it, it changes the way you look at something as simple as drinking water. Because we've all been told the same thing for years. Drink more water, stay hydrated, it supports your body, improves circulation, and helps everything function better. And in general, that advice is correct. But what almost no one explains is that after a certain age, your body does not respond to water in exactly the same way it once did. Not because something is wrong, but because your system changes. Subtly, gradually, but meaningfully. And those changes affect how fluids move through your body, how your blood flows, and how effectively your system uses what you give it. This is why so many people feel confused. They do everything right. They drink water throughout the day. They stay consistent. And yet, they still experience symptoms that don't seem to match that effort. Cold hands, heavy legs, occasional dizziness, brain fog that comes and goes without a clear reason, fatigue that doesn't fully improve, even with rest. And when they ask about it, they're often told the same thing: drink more water. But what if the issue is not the amount? What if the issue is how your body is responding to it? That's what we're going to explore today. Not to replace what you already know, but to build on it. Because once you understand how your body actually responds, small adjustments can make a noticeable difference. Now here's where things become interesting. Because small changes in how water is consumed can influence how your body responds in a very real way. Not in a dramatic overnight transformation, but in a measurable, noticeable shift over time. And what makes this important is that these changes are simple. They don't require extreme effort. They don't involve complicated routines, but they align more closely with how your body actually works. And when that alignment is present, your system responds differently. You may notice improved warmth in your hands and feet, more stable energy, a clearer sense of focus throughout the day. Again, not because you are doing something new, but because you are doing something in a way your body can use more effectively. And this is the key idea throughout everything we're going to cover. It's not about replacing your habits, it's about refining them. Let's start with the first adjustment, and it's something that may sound simple, but it has a meaningful impact. Adding a small amount of natural minerals to your water. Your body relies on a balance of minerals to regulate how fluids move in and out of cells. When that balance is present, hydration becomes more effective. When it's not, your body may not utilize water as efficiently as it could. This is why, in some cases, water passes through your system quickly without creating a lasting effect. By including small amounts of naturally balanced minerals, you support the process your body uses to distribute and retain hydration. And this does not require large amounts. In fact, moderation is what makes it effective. The goal is not to overwhelm your system, but to provide just enough support for it to function more smoothly. When done consistently, this simple adjustment can change how your body responds throughout the day. Now let's move into something that builds on this idea, and that is combining hydration with elements that support your body's natural signaling processes. Because your blood vessels don't just respond to fluid, they respond to signals that tell them when to relax and when to contract. When those signals are supported, circulation becomes more efficient. And when circulation improves, your entire system benefits. You may feel warmer, more energized, more stable overall. And this is where certain natural additions to your routine can play a role. not as a replacement for anything, but as support for processes your body already uses. The key here is consistency, small, regular input that your body can adapt to over time. And when that pattern becomes stable, your system begins to respond in a more predictable way. Now let's move into one of the most powerful natural ways to support circulation. And this is something that has been studied extensively, not just in general wellness, but even in performance science. Beetroot. What makes this so interesting is not just that it's a vegetable, but how your body processes it. Beetroot contains natural compounds called nitrates. Now, you don't need to remember that term, but what matters is what your body does with it. Once consumed, these compounds are gradually converted into nitric oxide, which is one of the key signals your body uses to regulate blood flow. Think of nitric oxide as a messenger that tells your blood vessels to relax. When your vessels relax, they widen slightly, and this allows blood to move more freely. And when blood moves more freely, oxygen and nutrients are delivered more efficiently throughout your body. This is why people often report feeling a sense of warmth in their hands and feet after consistent use. It's not a sudden effect, but a gradual improvement in how their system responds. What's especially important here is that this process is natural. Your body is already designed to do it. You're simply providing it with the raw material it needs. And when you combine beetroot with something like ginger, which supports circulation in its own way, you create a complementary effect. Ginger helps maintain fluid movement and supports overall balance, while beetroot supports the signaling that controls how blood flows. Together, they create a more complete support system. And again, the key is not quantity, but consistency. Small, regular intake allows your body to adapt and respond over time. Now let's talk about something that creates a very different kind of response, something you can often feel almost immediately, and that is the effect of certain spices, particularly those with a natural warming quality. When you consume something like cayenne pepper, your body reacts quickly. You may feel a slight warmth spreading, your skin may feel more active, your system becomes more alert. This is not just a surface-level reaction. It reflects how your body is responding internally. Certain compounds in these spices interact with your sensory receptors and trigger a cascade of responses that influence circulation. Your body increases blood flow to the surface, adjusts temperature, and creates a sense of activation. Now, this doesn't mean you need large amounts. In fact, very small quantities are enough to create this effect. And this is where balance becomes important again, because the goal is not intensity, it's support. When used in moderation, these elements can become part of a routine that gently encourages your system to remain active and responsive. And over time, this contributes to a more stable overall experience. But just like everything else we've discussed, this works best when it's consistent and aligned with your body's needs, not used in extremes. Now we come to something that many people don't associate with circulation at all, yet it plays a surprisingly important role. Certain plant-based compounds found in foods like pomegranate and cocoa. These are not just healthy foods in a general sense. They contain specific elements that interact with your body's internal systems in a meaningful way. What makes them unique is how they support the balance between production and preservation of the signals your body uses for circulation. In simple terms, they help your body not only produce the signals it needs, but also maintain them for longer. And this creates a more sustained effect. Instead of a short-term response, you get a more stable pattern over time. This is why people who include these elements regularly often report a gradual improvement in how they feel. More consistent energy, better warmth in extremities, a sense that their system is functioning more smoothly. And again, this is not about dramatic change. It's about subtle improvements that build over time, because your body responds to patterns, not isolated actions. Now let's talk about something just as important as what you include, and that is what may be working against you without you realizing it. Because sometimes the issue is not what you're missing, but what's interfering with the process. One of the most common patterns is consuming large amounts of fluids in a short period of time, rather than spacing them throughout the day. This can overwhelm your system temporarily and lead to inefficient distribution. Another pattern is relying only on plain water without considering how your body uses it. While water is essential, it works best within a balanced system. And when that balance is not present, the effect may not be what you expect. This is why awareness matters, because once you understand how your body responds, you begin to see where small adjustments can make a difference. And those adjustments don't need to be complicated. They simply need to be consistent. So here's what I want you to take from all of this. Your body is not just reacting to what you consume, It's responding to how you consume it, how consistently, and in what context. And when you begin to align your habits with how your body actually works, everything starts to feel more stable, more predictable, more comfortable. You don't need to replace everything you're doing. You don't need to follow extreme routines. What you need is awareness, small adjustments, consistency, because your body is incredibly adaptive. When you give it the right conditions, it responds. And that response is what creates the difference you feel day to day. So instead of asking, what should I add? Start asking, how can I support what my body is already trying to do? That question changes everything. And once you start approaching your routine from that perspective, you'll begin to notice something important. Your body is not working against you. It's working with you. It just needs the right support.